On heavy rainy days, we traveled to Hong Ngu City, the headwaters of the Tien River, arriving at the border commune of BINH THAN, a locality famous for its striped catfish farming in Dong Thap province. Beyond the striped catfish, this area boasts a unique craft village that's almost one of a kind in the Mekong Delta, with hardworking people whose livelihoods are deeply connected to the annual flood season. We are now present in the border commune of BINH THAN. Along with aquaculture, there is a long-standing history of crab trap making, and with the start of the flood season this year, let's visit this craft village. In BINH THAN commune, there's a familiar address that everyone in the flooded regions knows and simply calls the Crab Trap Hamlet. It's the grassroots brand of BINH THAN Hamlet, where the traditional crab trap craft has existed for nearly 30 years. Walking into the craft village, almost every house has crab traps hanging by the entrance as a kind of advertising to showcase the family's craft. During the 7th month of the lunar calendar, when heavy rains begin to fall, the rhythmic sounds of splitting bamboos and whittling strips fill the craft village. Whittling bamboo strips is the first step in making crab traps, and it's also a gentle task, suitable for people of all ages. This work helps create jobs for the local people, especially women who stay at home to take care of their children and grandchildren. It provides work and income while allowing them to flexibly manage family care. After Tet, people are able to buy bamboos. They deliver it to me to work on. Preparing materials must be done right after Tet? That's right, after Tet. This craft is so tough, isn't it? Very tough. For this bamboo strip, we just need to whittle the four corners to make it round, right, ma'am? That's correct. Is it like this good enough, ma'am? Okay. When weaving, it just needs to not break the strings, which is sufficient. How many bamboo strips can you process like this? About 2,000 pieces per day. BINH THAN commune is surrounded by the Soha River, which serves as the border between Vietnam and Cambodia. This area is the first to receive rich alluvial water, flowing downstream from the Tien River into the fields. With this advantage, besides seasonal aquatic resources, BINH THAN also has an abundance of natural freshwater crabs. The topography shaped the trade, which is why the craft of weaving and setting crab traps has thrived here for decades. The crab traps are handcrafted by artisans in the BINH THAN commune's craft village. Each step shows the craftspeople's meticulous attention to detail and skillful workmanship. As you can see, the bamboo strips used for weaving crab traps have a very distinctive color. After the strips are whittled, the craftspeople smoke them over a fire. This makes the strips stronger, and when woven into traps, they become more beautiful and durable. Bamboo naturally burns easily, but through the craftspeople's expertise and smoking techniques, the strips become more flexible and resilient. The black color from the smoke not only gives BINH THAN crab traps their signature look, but according to the villagers, also helps better attract crabs into the traps. During its heyday years ago, when floodwaters covered the fields, hundreds of households in this trap-making village practiced the craft. Now, with unpredictable water levels and declining aquatic resources, the number of households continuing the trade has dropped by more than half. Young people today tend to leave for the cities to build their careers, with few wanting to continue the craft. For those that stay, weaving crab traps is a labor of love and passion, rather than merely a means of earning a living. Every time the Tien River's waters turn reddish-brown, they feel a stirring inside, compelling them to prepare materials for a new season of trap making. Some households specialize in crab traps as their primary occupation. Take Mr. BINH THAN COMMUNE's family as an example. Every family member handles different parts of the process. What's special is that his children are beginning to carry on the family's traditional craft. From being just a seasonal occupation during high water level, Mr. Hong's family is now working year-round, thanks to building good relationships with many traders who distribute their traps far and wide. One of the family's secrets is maintaining consistent product quality. Along with that, conducting business with emphasis on loyalty and relationships has helped Mr. Hong's family live well with their profession. It's tough work. Cutting bamboo is extremely hard. We have to drag it back, saw it, split it, whittle it, then smoke it. The labor you put in is enormous. We earn our living through our hard work. This used to be just a flood season craft, but what about now? Now we work all year round, not just during flood season. What time do you finish work? We have to stay up late, until 1 or 2 a.m. My family has a small number of members, thus we have to work late. Right now, it's selling like hotcakes. We can't keep up with the demand. Our price is better this year, Sister Tui? Yes, this year. We're selling them for 26,000 dong each, and resellers sell them for 28,000 dong. This year feels promising. Trap prices are higher than in previous years. In the past, they were very cheap. We'll keep at the craft, as long as we're passionate about it, and can handle the work. As long as we can manage, we'll keep going. You'll preserve the craft for as long as you can. Making crab traps was once the main livelihood that helped many households in BINH THAN Commune build their own homes and improve their living standards. Thanks to this craft, Mrs. Tui and Mr. Than's family, once without any assets, have managed to save enough money to buy over 1 hectare of land for rice cultivation, which has become their primary source of income, alongside trap making. This is our destined profession. We have to stick with it. What else can we do if we don't continue with it now? On days we work in the fields, we do that. When we come home, we go back to making traps. I thought this trap making is only done during flood season? That was in the past. Now it's year-round. The period is around February and March, when crabs fetch 50,000 to 60,000 dong per kilogram. That's when people buy lots of traps. It's like the off-season for crabs. When crab prices are high, people order more traps, and consequently, the trap prices go up too. BINH THAN crab traps are notable for their durability. They can be used to catch crabs for 3 to 4 years before needing replacement. This is because the villagers use thorny bamboo as their raw material. This solid core bamboo variety has long sections, making it perfect for trap production. As the local thorny bamboo becomes scarce, the craftspeople from BINH THAN's trap-making village travel far and wide to source and transport the bamboo back home. When bamboo isn't used immediately, the villagers soak it in the river. When we smoke them black, they become very glossy. This way, when we place bait inside to lure crabs, they're attracted by the shine. As you can see, the funnel here is bright colored, isn't it? When crabs see the bright bait, they'll go for it. When a crab from outside goes in, the crab that's already inside must move deeper inside. Since the day I innovated the crab trap design, I had successful crab catching seasons, which allowed me to build this house. This craft requires dedication. If you get bored with it, you won't succeed. In this trap-making village, households both make and set the traps. Men handle buying materials and weaving traps, while women prepare bait for the next day's trap-setting expedition. The bait is simple. It's just corn and golden apple snails. when water levels are high and flood the fields, we can set more traps. With less water, we set fewer and have to share space. Neighbors set traps near each other. When water levels rise, we can spread out more. Everyone catches crabs then. We share 1 or 2 crabs each, which is how we live together. When the water is low, we have to share the space to survive, placing traps close together. But when the water level is high, we need to place them further apart to catch more crabs. If I can make a profit at the end of the season, I'll be able to recover our investment in corn and crab traps. Then, if I have a few dozen million dong left over, I store it for the dry season, when I can't work, because I'm older now and often in pain, and I use that money to live frugally. I live cautiously, using the money to buy bamboo, to make new traps, and when next season comes, I sell and set traps just the same way. Crab traps made in this village are sold all year round, and the crab trapping business is also a year-round activity, although the catch may vary from season to season. At dawn, we followed Uncle Tham to check his crab traps. In recent years, the flood season in the Mekong Delta has become unpredictable. Traditionally, people expected water to jump over the banks in the 7th month, but this is no longer reliable. Now, even in mid-7th month of the lunar calendar, the water hasn't arrived. Fish and crabs are becoming scarce. As a result, making a living during flood season has become increasingly challenging. You can set the trap in both high and low tide, but you need to follow the correct procedure based on the water current. When the water is flowing, you should position the trap to align with the current. Then the crab will be able to catch the bait. Once it catches the corn bait and starts eating, it'll crawl into the trap. Since I've been doing this professionally for years, I know exactly where the crabs are. That's where I set the traps. How far apart do you space the traps, Uncle? I see you keep rowing and checking them continuously. Depending on how close or far apart I want them to be, I usually set them 10 to 15 meters apart. In areas with lots of crab movement, I set more traps closer together. Where there's less activity, I space them further apart. Back in the day, there were so many more crabs. About 20 years ago, you'd get half a trap full. How many kilos is half a trap, Uncle? Half a trap would be about 3 or 4 kilos. You mean 3 or 4 kilos in one check? That's right. However, now that everyone in this area is doing it, I'm catching fewer crabs in my traps. These days, I might get 5 to 7 crabs per check. I set a lot of traps here. About 500 traps. How many kilos have you caught since this morning, Uncle Tham? Since earlier. I've checked about 30 traps. With 30 traps out there, you only caught that many crabs? I see there are snails too, right? Yes, snails outnumber crabs. Generally, with one set of traps, I can catch about 15 to 20 kilos in a day. However, the price has increased, and crabs are expensive now. If I catch a kilo of crabs, it's like catching 2 kilos in terms of value. In a few days, the crab prices will start dropping again. So do you think about how to preserve the crab population? Of course. When I catch pregnant crabs, it really tugs at my heartstrings, because this is my livelihood. For example, sometimes when I catch a crab and see it's carrying eggs, my wife either separates the eggs or releases the whole crab. It's our future source of income that needs to maintain for the long term. At this time, in the upper reaches of the Chien River, the water has turned a reddish-brown color. According to the local folklore, this is a sign that the flood season has arrived with each high tide. The alluvial sediment follows the water down to the Soha River, gradually spreading into the fields. Dear viewers, according to the experience of the residents in this upstream region, the water has now turned a reddish-brown color, accompanied by the cooler weather. This is a positive sign for the upcoming water season. There's hope that this flood season will bring the local people a more prosperous and comfortable livelihood. With the arrival of the reddish-brown water season, the crab catch typically increases. BINH THAN Commune's crab depots are now a hive of activity as freshwater crabs are being bought, packaged, and distributed all over the place. The new business season is ready to begin, even though making a living is becoming increasingly challenging. In the crab trap-making village, those who make their living from the floodwaters are also hoping for a beautiful flood season, with plenty of shrimps and crabs to help maintain their trap-making craft. What was once their main source of income has now led many to diversify into rice farming, water lily harvesting, and fishing for additional income streams. The people who make and set crab traps along the floodplains of Vietnam's southwestern border are gradually adapting to climate change and increasingly unpredictable weather patterns. They still hope for beautiful flood seasons, with timely floodwaters spreading across the fields, bringing sustainable prosperity to their lives.